Welcome to Tenerife, the largest and most populous of the Canary Islands, an island archipelago located off Africa's west coast. More than 7 million tourists visit Tenerife each year, as the volcanic island offers a little something for everyone. From beautiful golden and black sand beaches to the rugged, lush landscapes along its northern coastline, and of course, the towering Teide volcano that dominates the centre of the island. Whether you're after a sun-soaked, relaxing beach holiday or an incredible hiking adventure, Tenerife has you covered. After our fantastic experience visiting Madeira some years ago, we felt like we'd put off visiting the Canary Islands long enough. So we booked a 1-week stay on the archipelago's most popular island, and in the next couple of videos, we'll show you everything we got up to during our visit, from some of the island's best beaches and towns to its most stunning hikes.
If you're new here, we're Kitty and John, and we love to travel and experience new cultures. Whether we're exploring a country's cities or escaping into its natural regions, our passion for travel never seems to fade. After many years spent discovering the wonders of Central and South America, we're back in Europe and are excited to explore a little more of our home continent. So if you'd like to see more from our European adventures, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Welcome to Tenerife, everybody.
Wow, I mean, look at this view behind us. This is why we're here.
We're not in the beachy Tenerife, we're in the hiking and volcano Tenerife.
So this is Teide mountain behind us, which is the highest point in all of Spain. Not mainland Spain, obviously, but all of Spain, with the Canary Islands being Spain. It's our first time in the Canary Islands, and we're just spending 1 week here in Tenerife. We're going to explore most of the north, central kind of part of the island, not so much the south. That's where more of the resorts and stuff are.
We'll see what the weather's going to be like, because we read Tenerife's got a lot of microclimates. I'm pretty sure we're going to experience it, but
so far so good. Yes. So let's get into this video. These microclimates come into play when deciding where you want to stay in Tenerife, with it really coming down to what you want from your holiday. The south coast gets predominantly more sunshine, as the prevailing winds tend to build up the clouds on the northern side of the island. So if you're after beach vibes and tanning sessions, the south coast is definitely the way to go, with many resorts built up around the Costa Adeje and Playa de las Americas area. In our opinion though, this side of the island is definitely less attractive than the north side, as it's quite arid and dry due to the lack of rainfall. In contrast, the north is much greener and more vibrant. Just don't expect to get clear blue skies every single day of your stay. For us, coming for the hiking and the natural environments, this wasn't so much of an issue, and honestly, if you have a hire car, the island is small enough that you only need to drive about an hour in any direction for you to be on the other side of the island, so if you do want some sunshine, it's really not that far to go. In the end, we booked our stay in the north coast's largest city, Puerto de la Cruz. This city is full of all the amenities you'd need for a convenient stay, and is also home to plenty of resorts and hotels if you do want a more relaxing kind of holiday. However, there are also many smaller but just as beautiful towns dotted along the north coast that could also be a great place to stay, and maybe a little bit more affordable. Hiring a car is definitely the best way to get around Tenerife if you want to pack in as much as possible like we did. We hired our car from the airport upon arrival from a company called Sicar, one of the largest local companies offering hire cars in the Canary Islands. We really can't recommend them enough. They quoted a price that was way more affordable than the big multinational companies, didn't require any upfront payment or hefty credit card deposit in order to pick up the car, and we received a car that was in fantastic condition, which we could drive away within about 10 minutes of arriving at the office at the airport. Seriously, book through them and you won't be disappointed.
So in this video, we'll be showing you all the best things we did in the cities and towns we visited in Tenerife, with all of our hiking adventures coming in the next video. So what better place to start than our base of Puerto de la Cruz? We spent one full day of our Tenerife itinerary wandering around Puerto de la Cruz and also visiting La Orotava, which is a smaller town about 10 minutes drive from Puerto de la Cruz. We decided to visit La Orotava first thing in the morning because it's located higher up on the slopes, so it's more prone to get lower clouds later in the afternoon, plus it was probably slightly less busy early in the morning. Orotava is a beautiful town that used to be home to some of the island's wealthiest residents. Visiting in the morning gave us the chance to walk around its gorgeous, colorful streets before the town woke up and the tourist masses arrived, something we definitely recommend as it was getting much busier by the time we left. After strolling along the town's main street and around the colorfully domed Church of Our Lady of Conception, we ended up at the Casa de los Balcones, a 17th century home that has the most beautiful, intricately carved wooden balconies around its interior courtyard. The house has been turned into a museum with rooms around the upper floor modeled to look just as they would have when the house was lived in. The rooms and the history are interesting, but the real draw are the wooden balconies carved with ornate patterns that are fantastically preserved given their age. It's definitely worth the small price of admission to see them, and because we were early, we had the whole house to ourselves for the duration of our visit. From there, we walked to the pretty Victoria Garden, a small garden space with fountains and terraces that gives you great views out over to the rest of the town. Next to these gardens is the town's main square, Plaza de la Constitución, where you can see the Iglesia de las Agustín and the colorful Liceo da Tauro, an 18th century building surrounded by beautiful gardens.
In the afternoon, we began exploring Puerto de la Cruz. We'll go over all the best places to visit in the city from east to west, but you can of course visit them in any order that you like. The botanical gardens on the eastern edge of the city are definitely worth a quick stop, filled with plants and trees from all over the world, including a giant 200-year-old fig tree at its center. We had fun walking around this peaceful environment, spotting plants we'd seen regularly on our trips through Central and South America. Entry is only a few euros, so it's an affordable activity that isn't going to break the bank. From there, we headed down the hill to Mirador La Paz, where we got stunning views over Playa de Martianes and the rest of the city. A great place to get an ice cream sundae and cold drink at one of the nearby cafes. Then, we checked out the nearby Agatha Christie stairs, a set of painted stairs with the names of Agatha Christie novels set into each step. The stairs are super colourful, and if you are an Agatha Christie fan, you can have fun checking off all the novels you've read as you walk up or down them. We continued down to the waterfront area of Puerto de la Cruz from here and had a wander along the coastline. However, for a great bonus viewpoint of the city, make sure to head across to Parque Tauro first, a well-kept green space that provides stunning views over Puerto de la Cruz and the coastline beyond. Once down at the city's waterfront, you can choose to soak up the sunshine around the man-made pools of the Complejo Turístico Municipal Costa Martianes for a few hours. We didn't, but it looked like a nice place to relax and wasn't too expensive for a day pass. We passed plenty of souvenir shops, ice cream parlors, and restaurants along this stretch of waterfront and got nice views back down the coast from near Playa San Telmo, where you can also watch the waves breaking against the rocks.
Make sure to check out the small San Telmo shrine before heading into the historic center of Puerto de la Cruz. We passed through the Plaza de la Iglesia, so named for the Church of Our Lady of the Rock of France that sits at the heart of it. Then we continued down to the city's main square, Plaza del Charco, which wasn't the prettiest if we're being honest, and then wandered through the colorful streets and alleyways of the La Ranilla district. This was easily our favorite area of the city, filled with colorful old houses and beautiful murals all over the walls, as well as some great eateries. After admiring the artwork, we continued along the waterfront until we reached San Felipe Castle, a small 17th century fort built for defensive purposes. The fort isn't all that impressive to look at, but it does overlook the black sand beach of Playa Jardín, which was, in our opinion, the nicest beach in Puerto de la Cruz. Playa Maria Jimenez, a little further along the coast, is also nice, with views out towards the colorful houses of Punta Brava, but we recommend coming down to Playa Jardín just before sunset and watching the sun dip below the horizon as it turns the sky beautiful shades of orange and red.
As we've previously mentioned, Tenerife is quite a small island, so it's pretty easy to visit multiple places in the same day if you have a hire car. Over the course of our week-long stay on the island, we managed to visit lots of cute little coastal towns and cities, which we'll share with you in this section of the video. Whilst we're pretty sure you'd struggle to fit everything on this itinerary into 1 or 2 days, especially if you include Puerto de la Cruz and La Orotava, you could essentially boil it down to this road trip, starting in either San Andres on the south coast or Los Gigantes on the west coast and finishing in the other. We're going to start in San Andres, which we combined with one of our first days hiking in Anaga Rural Park. We didn't really get to explore the town itself, which does look pretty cool as it rises up the hillside, because the main reason most people flock here is to relax on possibly Tenerife's best beach, Playa de las Teresitas. This is a gorgeous golden sand beach with a man-made wave break, meaning the water is super calm and shallow. Sitting on the south side of the island, it gets more sunshine than the beaches on the north and is framed by beautiful green hills on either side. You can also get a great overview of the beach if you drive a little way up the hill behind it.
The next stop along this hypothetical road trip is the city of San Cristobal de la Laguna, whose historic center has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1999. We didn't get to spend a huge amount of time here, but the city's historic center is really nice to walk through. Starting from the Plaza del Adelantado, surrounded by grand buildings like the Palacio de Nava, we walked down Calle Obispo Rey Redondo, where we entered the old Captain General's house. Now a museum, the courtyard at least was free to enter and reminded us of the Casa de los Balcones in La Orotava. We continued down this street until we got to the Cathedral of San Cristobal de la Laguna with its neoclassical facade, and then switched over to the adjacent street until we arrived in the Plazoleta de Zerolo, where we got nice views of Conception Church and the surrounding street. Other than dipping in and out of some souvenir shops, this is all we really had time for in La Laguna, but we're sure there is plenty more to do here to keep you entertained for longer. If nothing else, it's worth just coming to wander around the historic center, and it really reminded us of many of the historic centers we'd explored in cities throughout South and Central America. You might want to stop in El Salsol on your way back to Puerto de la Cruz, as there are some nice viewpoints here. We stopped quickly at the Mirador La Garanona on the way back from Anga Rural Park, which provided us with some nice coastal views. Then you would come to Puerto de la Cruz and La Orotava before continuing down the north coast.
Today we're making our way along the north coast of the island, hopping from one spot to another, some viewpoints, some little strolls, some towns. Should be a fun little day. The weather's not amazing today, it's pretty cloudy all over the island, so I thought this would be a good day for just hopping between towns. Our first stop is this beautiful viewpoint where you can hike down a little bit to get even more views, or hike along the coast a little bit. I think there's a coastal path for a short way. Should be a nice start to the day. There's a small parking area and viewpoint where you get great views down the coast in both directions, even if you don't want to walk along the trails. If you're up for a short stroll, follow the signs toward La Casona and wind your way down the cobblestone street. At the bottom, the path will split into lots of different trails, and we followed the one leading towards the Fortín de San Fernando. So just made it down to this little fort area. I mean, there's some cannons and a little lookout point basically. Get some nice views down the coastline from here. Pretty crazy. You can sort of figure how isolated you are when you think that we're looking north here. So the next piece of like land that you'll come to if you go directly north from here is probably Madeira, and then after Madeira you're basically not hitting land at all until you get to Iceland, which is a long way away. So it's pretty mad. And then obviously if you go west of the island, you're not hitting any land at all until you get to like Florida. It really is like a very isolated place, but very spectacular. After taking in the views, we headed back up to the car and continued along the coast until we got to the town of San Juan de la Rambla. Again, we didn't have time to explore the town itself, but we did drive down to Mirador Charco de la Laja to get some coastal views, although the walkway down to the natural pools here was closed when we were there. Then we drove on to Charco del Viento, which are some isolated natural pools along a rugged stretch of coastline. There's a small car park here, which we can imagine gets pretty busy in the height of summer. So you got all these like natural rock pools along the coast here, which are quite famous in Tenerife for like swimming and stuff. I think the tide is in right now. You got the flags that tell you if it's prohibited or not, like red is no-go, yellow is with caution, and green is you can swim safely. Something cool to do. Always have your swimming costume ready just in case. Our next stop was the town of Ico de los Vinos, which we'd recommend visiting for two main reasons: to see the ancient dragon tree and to visit the banana museum. For a small fee, you can enter the Parque del Drago, a botanical garden of sorts whose centerpiece is the Drago Millenario, so named because it is believed to be over 1,000 years old. Whilst this age can't be confirmed, as dragon trees don't produce the annual rings that other trees do, it is a long-running symbol of the city and is certainly impressive to look at. We stopped for coffee and cake in the attached Casa del Drago, a cute cafe and gift store, before heading over to the Casa del Platano nearby. For another small entry fee, we could wander around the rooms and courtyard of this old banana hacienda, learning about the history of banana plantations in the Canary Islands. There's a small area behind the house with a bunch of banana trees that's fun to wander around, and you get a free banana with your entry ticket, which we enjoyed surrounded by the banana trees.
Try and taste what a Canarian banana is like. Really good though, like really sweet, real good flavour to it.
Not being
like
transported.
Really, no, like really nice and natural flavour.
A little further along the coast from Ico de los Vinos, we came to a popular town of Garachico. This turned out to be our favorite town along the north coast. The heart of Garachico is its main square, Plaza de la Libertad, which is surrounded by beautiful buildings like the Convent of San Francisco and the Church of Our Lady of the Angels, as well as the striking Hotel La Quinta Roja. We walked down past the Parroquia de Santa Ana on the other side of the square and had a quick wander around Parque de la Puerta de Tierra, a small green space where you will find one of the old gateways into the town. A short distance from here is the Castillo de San Miguel, which is another defensive fort very similar to the one in Puerto de la Cruz. Then we walked out to the stone pier to get some nice views back towards the town. If you're game for a little uphill hike, we definitely recommend walking up the road to Mirador del Emigrante for some even better views of Garachico. There's one more spot higher up that we think gives you the ultimate views of the town though. If you head up a steep set of stairs from close to the Mirador del Emigrante, you will eventually come out at Mirador San Pedro, where you really do get the best views of Garachico.
The penultimate stop of this hypothetical road trip should be the village of Masca, hidden away in the rugged landscapes of Tenyo Rural Park at the northwest tip of Tenerife. To get there, you'll have to navigate a pretty narrow road of hairpin turns and blind corners, and Masca is a popular tourist destination, so expect the road to be busy. You can come in from two directions, from Buena Vista del Norte in the north or from Santiago del Teide in the south. If we had to pick, we'd probably suggest coming in from the north, as most of the traffic, including the large tour buses, seem to come from that direction and leave via the south. The road is a little wider and better coming from the north too, and if you do come from that direction, make sure to stop at the Mirador La Cruz de Hilda before you descend into Masca. There's a very well placed cafe here, and you get stunning views down towards Masca and out over the landscape in the other direction as well. After descending the road down to Masca and finding a parking space, we admired the view from above the town, which is a little reminiscent of Machu Picchu, just on a drastically smaller scale. There's only one small cobblestone road leading down to the town, which is really just a small collection of homes and a restaurant or two, but just take it slow and appreciate the gorgeous landscapes around you. Once you're ready to leave, take it slow as you ascend the twisting turns of the road to the south. This section is way tighter and more difficult than the north section, but is still worth driving as there are some incredible viewpoints along it. The first is the Mirador de Masca, where we got an amazing look down at the road winding its way through this stunning landscape. Then, a little further up is the Mirador de Chefe, where you can take one last look back at the jagged peaks and valleys of Tenyo Rural Park.
From here, we descended to our last stop on this list, the town of Los Gigantes, so named because of its proximity to the enormous Los Gigantes cliffs, which rise up to 800 meters from the sea in some places. Make sure to stop at the Mirador Arquipenque on the way down into town for a great overview of Los Gigantes in the background. The town itself is fairly small, but we recommend having a wander around to find some great viewpoints of the cliffs. Our favorite views were from the panoramic viewpoint of the natural swimming pools, where we could look out over the cliffs in the distance and get a good view of the natural pools below us. Then we continued walking down the coast past a cool window in the rock that framed the cliffs nicely to the Mirador Punta del Roque, where we got great views up towards town and back towards Los Gigantes.
This is a good indicator of the different microclimates of Tenerife, south side of the island, and then this is looking north. All the clouds seem to build up on the north side, which makes it a lot wetter and greener, whereas the south side gets a lot more sun, is a lot drier, which is why all the main resorts are like that side of the island. We're sort of like smack bang in the middle here. An interesting place to be, but you can really see the difference, which is cool.
The main reason we came to Los Gigantes though was to do a dolphin and whale watching boat tour. We booked through a company called Maritima Quintana de Los and headed down to the harbor to begin our tour. Los Gigantes is supposedly one of the best places on the island to spot dolphins and pilot whales, so we boarded the boat hopeful that we would be able to get some cool wildlife encounters. The boat took us quite far offshore, but we got great views of the coastline and Mount Teide rising up in the middle of the island. Conditions were not ideal on the day we did the tour though, as the wind was pretty strong, making the sea quite choppy. After about 30 minutes of searching, we eventually did come across a pod of pilot whales. However, they were so fast in the water that it proved impossible to get any footage of them. We did get this one picture as proof that we saw them, but we mostly decided just to enjoy the encounter with our eyes whilst it was happening instead of missing it because we were trying to film it. Then the boat headed back to the shore and down to Los Gigantes, where we got right up underneath the cliffs to really get a sense of their scale. We stopped in a small bay for 10 minutes or so where you could go swimming if you wanted, and then headed back to the town via the cliffs again.
As you can see, there is no shortage of things to do in Tenerife, and this video didn't even include any of the epic hiking locations in the national and rural parks of the island. We had a fantastic time though exploring the island's many towns and cities, and felt very much like we were back in Central or South America due to all the familiar architecture and layout of these urban areas. Whilst you can just come to Tenerife for a resort holiday and to lie on a beach, we think it would be a disservice to the island if you didn't get out at least on 1 or 2 days of your holiday to see some of the incredible places that Tenerife has to offer. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to come back and check out part 2 of our Tenerife series, where we get out into the spectacular landscapes of the national and rural parks of the island to do some epic hiking. Trust us, it's definitely worth it.